Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the One True Divine Feminine and Psychic Investigations Tarot. And yes, I want to address this message to Archangel Michael. Why? Because I just watched Ancient Mysteries Investigations. And yes, I do see things, right? And even if the DOJ lost the slip of paper, I could almost tell you word for word what I said because I remember things very well. And I may reenact it and put it out there just because. Um, it took me 15 years of study to get where I am. And again, I only ever use this for good in the world, right? And please just know whatever comes down, there's nothing personal. I've forgiven over and over and over and over again. However, there's certain things happening in the universe and most especially in the United States that cannot go on. And so what I really challenge you to do, and I did this myself when I was learning astrology, is to really pay attention, right? One of the ways that I learned my craft was I did hundreds of cold readings for strangers I didn't know. Everybody wants a reading when they can. And the only thing I asked at the time, I didn't take money. I just said, all I want is feedback. Can you provide me information on how accurate I am when I'm done with the reading, where I missed the mark? And then maybe I might ask a couple probing questions to clarify a few things in my own mind. And I did that after I'd studied for years to see if I had gotten it right. And at that point, I realized I was onto something, and that, again, this is just for me. But to me, at a certain point, it became very clear that the path of our lives and the path of our country is truly written in the stars, and God has laid out this path for us. Now, most of us are unaware that this even exists, right? And even if you're aware that it's there, most people don't know how to read the symbols. And then I've never met one personally myself, but hopefully you don't get somebody who reads it and does evil things with it. I only ever harness onto it to do good in the world. That's all in my mind it was ever meant to do. Right now, you may not agree on what's good with me, but in my mind, I would never use it to do evil. So I will say this. Yes, I have seen a lot of things. And I want you now to pay attention as well, most especially with all of the eclipse stuff I put out, because that energy is extremely powerful. And I didn't run it off of my chart or your chart or another individual's chart. I ran it off our country's chart because every country has a chart. And so their story is there. And we've been living that life, whether we are consciously aware of it or not, it's happening. Again, like I said, all the way down from the election recounts in 2020 during a Mercury retrograde, that was all in the stars, right? It was all in the stars. And so stuff is there, and it's just a matter of reading it. Now, it's not an exact science. Sometimes there's 4 or 5 ways things can play out. Sometimes they're very related, so it doesn't matter if you miss the mark a little bit, you're still going to hit, the target. But there's also free will, right? And I also believe there are some things where it's just destiny, right? God has certain lessons he needs us to learn, and those lessons are going to play themselves out. And I do believe that's coming with the outcome of all of this, because I have looked ahead and I do see what's ahead, right? And I personally, it's just my personal feeling, it's because we have lessons we have to learn in this country. And so please know whatever I expose, even though it may be painful, because you belong to the same group, I'm not doing it out of malice, but because corrections have to be made, right? And that's really going to show up in both eclipses, but most especially the May 5th lunar eclipse. We are literally coming to a very difficult angle in the US chart where we are being asked to seriously look at where we are. And there is going to be a great deal of resistance in making change. And yet, the direction that God does want us to go into is to reorient our value system. That's what I read in the stars, right? And it's going to be difficult because there are going to be very harsh things that are going to get revealed around that time. And some of them may come to light as some of the terrible sexual things that were done to women. That's in the stars. And it's not being done to hurt, but to bring awareness to where we are and to make change, right? Because I think so many of us want to bring God down to earth. My atheist friends, they just want to improve their higher selves. That's okay too. But for those of us that do want to bring in that higher power, it has to be a higher power that loves everybody. And right now, we have a higher power that doesn't seem to care much for women. So, of course, how could a woman want that to happen, right? So, there are lessons written in the sky and there are lessons coming, but it's not being done with malice. And yes, I do see things, and I'll probably redo the chart if DOJ threw it out because I read the energy very clearly. I know almost exactly what I said, and I could do it again from memory. Right? And I know what I said. So I hope they didn't throw it out. But if they did, I could redo it and I could do it off of a chart. And you could get another astrologer who's really good to do it too. So just saying. And do I have a sense that I was probably dead on right? Yes. Why? Because the energy signature was extremely powerful and clear and terrifying, right? I only looked for about an hour or so. And the energy scared me so much, I did not want to look again. And that's just the truth of the matter. So, anyhow, so more stuff's coming up. I'm going to start with these cards first, then we're going to get into Neptune. So, there is a honeypot dude who works for a 3-letter organization who's dipping into 2 illicit funds, and federal prosecutors and detectives, you need to tap into this. And I hate to say it, but you need to determine all of this guy's affiliations, every last one. Because when all of this went down and the horrible things happened to women in our country, there was somebody who basically said, I had to do it. I was forced to do it. I get the sense that this has happened in our country more than once, and with a certain string of people who are all connected, possibly by a secret society. And money is being made in terrible, terrible, terrible ways, and it needs to be revealed. And the people who are doing this need to be fired because we can't have trafficking of women. We cannot have pedophilia stuff going on. We cannot have this stuff happening. And again, if you're a true, loving, decent, kind Christian, you know that, right? So you need to find out what connects honeypot dude to Daddy Leo. What are the things? And because I am afraid, and this is a gut feeling now, that this isn't just something that's happening in the US, but something that's happening worldwide. And again, if this kind of horror is happening worldwide, you need to stop it. So you need to go through Interpol and you need to find other cases where there's been similar crimes, trafficking of women and children, and you need to see what the links are. And I believe you will discover something terrible. That's just my gut feeling. So yes, you can see into a person's soul if you have the eye. By doing the chart analysis. And again, I'm not always dead right, but I can be fairly accurate. And I did hundreds and hundreds of readings just to test the skills. So I knew I was onto something, right? So now, if you're in doubt yourself, and I know a lot of people are, this is different for a lot of people. For me, it's like a spiritual practice. Just start to pay attention. You should go back and watch all the eclipse stuff I've put out and really watch. Now, it won't always happen right on the exact day, but the energy gets super strong as you get closer to that vortex. But sometimes it'll happen even a month ahead or a month after, but certainly the closer you get to the exact eclipse day, that's when the energies are going to really begin to unfold. And so I've put out a lot of predictions with the lunar and solar eclipses, April 20th and May 5th. Just see what comes out, right? Just pay attention. And I may hit some stuff, maybe not, But you never know unless you start to watch. And when you do, then you might realize, wow, we have a whole nother world going on down here. And there are a lot of us that are actually tapped in that way, and we pay attention because, again, it's all about trying to harness the energy to make good things happen in our world. Okay. And do I believe that some things are destined? Yes. I also believe that God gives us free will. But sometimes things come out the way they're going to come out because God knows that in order for us to move forward, we have to learn certain things. And that's why that very harsh square is showing up with Pluto and the nodes of the moon, directly affecting our value system of the US chart. So, very difficult lessons are going to be learned. And this is not meant with malice. I've already forgiven dozens of times, right? I'm still not healed from what happened, and it will probably take me lifetimes. However, these lessons must come to light. They must be dealt with. They have to be learned because we cannot have a godly nation when we are doing this kinds of things to women and children. So these lessons are going to come out. Now, do I feel like I see the hand of God in the future? Yes, I do. Now, of course, I could be wrong, but it looks pretty, the signature looks very strong. And all I can say is I'll make good on it to the best of my ability, right? I'm not an ostentatious gal. I'm almost 60. I bought my first couch. All the other ones were trash can or recycle ones. I paid $35. That's how much I'm really worried about material goods. Okay. I don't find my worth that way. I don't care to show off. I don't need that to feel good about myself. I don't need any of that, right? When I almost died of cancer, which I used all my yoga and everything else to heal from, the greatest lesson I learned was I should have done more for humanity. That's what I learned sitting on my own deathbed. So anyhow, whatever lessons are coming, don't take it badly. I truly believe it's God speaking to the United States. And you now know, even though I'm not a church person, I am a spiritual person. And my true hope is that we can find a God who truly loves everyone, right? Everyone. And I do expect that terrible secrets about how women were abused will be revealed around the May 5th eclipse. And all I could ask my light team and others, because there is a stinger always with Scorpio, if nasty things get posted all over the internet, I could beg and plead for the women on my light team to please do your best to protect me as you can. And hopefully that won't happen because hopefully we're raising awareness and the vibe a little so that we know that this is improper to treat women in this fashion in this country. And yes, I do think the people who did this should all be fired because this level of perversion should not be allowed in the United States. Okay, so now that being said, just pay attention. And again, just know I've forgiven a million times over, but healed from the worst of it? No, right? I don't even begin to know how to heal all that I've been put through. All I can do is just continue one day at a time, stay grounded, be as happy as I can, and move forward. And that's what I plan to do. Okay, now that being said, we're going to talk about Neptune again. Remember, on a high vibe, that's how we connect to God. We went through that whole series. Now we're going to work on what happens when Neptune is not working well, right? Because again, it's all about free will and how you attach to the energy that you're given to at birth. So when Neptune is out of whack in the 12th house, okay, things often go awry. Now, when it's in a good vibe in the 12th house, it's a really spiritual connection to God. Oddly, my whole chart is ruled by Neptune in the 12th. So, the fact that I'm spiritual, the fact that I do all the strange things I do to connect to God, it's all there. A person with this, in a good vibe is more concerned about being an immortal soul than worrying so much about things on the material plane. Seeing things clearly behind the veil is possible with this placement, and I attribute that to my dreams that I sometimes have that can be very telling, sometimes telling whole stories of my life decades in advance. This could also, on a high vibe, indicate soul searching sessions with hypnotherapy, which is like prayer times 1,000, and time also spent in meditation, prayer, and yoga. Okay, that's high vibe. Okay, we remember that from before. And when that's all working well, you can use all of these things to connect to that higher cosmic force and also to heal your body, which is exactly what I did to survive an unsurvivable bout of cancer 19 years ago. And then I went on to help others, right? Because when you go through something horrible, you want to be able to make good on that. That's why I'm into alchemy, right? Take the worst shit in your life and try to turn it into gold. Okay? And I don't mean gold, but like good things, right? Turn it into something good. Now, when all of this goes awry, because Neptune is now vibing at a low level, maybe because it's hit a hard angle to other planets or because you're not choosing wisely in your life, then you can literally submerge your whole life into a swamp of drugs and alcohol and other addictions. And that can also, of course, separate you from the God source as you literally start to drown in your own sorrows and addictions. Okay. And a sense of lonesomeness or meaninglessness in life can become pervasive, like this woman who's kind of lost in this dark and dreary swamp. The only thing she's got here is a snake. In this case, I don't interpret it to be a very good one. She's facing like the dark night of the soul in the watery swamp and feeling lonely, empty, as if a great sea is separating her from the divine. Meltdowns like this happen sometimes in our lives to help reorient ourselves in a positive direction so we can reconnect with source. And of course, that happened for me as well. Now, if Neptune in the 12th is really unbalanced, an unaligned person may develop a God complex wherein they start believing that their desires are that of the Creator. We've all seen false prophets like this over the years, such as the people that bilk poor Americans on TV of all their money so they can buy jet planes and mansions and other ostentatious goods, all the while claiming that God has whispered in their ear and that this is their mission or purpose on earth without ever actually delivering any goods to the person, right? Delusions of grandeur can emerge when this happens. And often when those fake illusions get exposed on TV, the people operating under this foggy light are humbled severely as God grounds them back down to reality. He does this by stripping away, the limos and fancy estates and shyster activities because everything gets illuminated, right? It's like they made their money in a false way. Now, in some extremely ungrounded individuals, and this is the zombie card, you can tell it's like she's giving her spirit out to the whole universe, and she's not well balanced here. So, ungrounded people with Neptune in the 12th, schizophrenia and other mental illnesses can occur. If there is a mentally unwell person, you might start hearing voices, right? Feeling as if God is talking to you, directing you to do crazy things. I once read a book called Under the Banner of Heaven. That comes to mind in this case because there was a very ill soul who believed God had directed him to murder another individual, and he did exactly that in very bloody fashion, all because of the voices, swimming around his head. Okay. Now, brain fog and actual delusions can emerge, rather like believing that you can swap souls or destinies with another human being. Drug-induced delusions can make a person with a low-vibing Neptune believe that God is talking to them through their tinfoil hat and the bottle of pills that they have just swallowed. This is the low end of Neptune. Now, why do some people live a life so lost and adrift at sea? Because an ocean of aloneness separates them from their creator, or to my atheist friends, from their higher selves. Like a foghorn on a shrouded shore, the higher self is always trying to beckon you back home safely, if only you can heed the call. Okay, so now you can understand how opposite the energies can be depending upon free will. It can be your best and greatest connection to God, or it can land you in delusion land with drugs and some very ill thinking, right? All right, we're also going to do today Neptune in the 11th house on the low vibe. All right, so, and here you can see confusion over life goals. I mean, everybody's just kind of swimming around here. They're all lost. Nobody knows where they're going. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what groups to belong to or even what friends they should hang out with. And that's very indicative of what happens when Neptune is in a low vibe energy in the 11th house. Your ideals for yourself and society may feel very unclear, as if everything is just, drifting along and you have no control over your very own dreams. All right, though the goal of the 11th house is to connect you with other like-minded organizations and friendship circles, it is possible, if you don't embrace this energy, that you'll feel isolated, bereft, all alone, kind of like the guy in this picture. Now, if you can tap into a higher frequency, this same configuration will enable you to meet your soul tribe, so you can feel oneness and compassion for all of humanity, right? This could allow you to champion the rights of others, most especially the downtrodden and overlooked in society. Creating a more humanitarian world is the goal when Neptune sings brightly in the 11th house. Now, if you miss that calling because your friends are all wearing masks and you didn't see them for who they really were, well, then the circle of friends that you fall in with could encourage great escapism, as if you've lost your head, through various addictions, as if sirens are calling you away from your purpose. Then groups and friends that you align with could actually lead you astray by telling you lies, delusions, and literally selling you pipe dreams, right? Like your whole life is going up in smoke. So getting carried away by the ideals of secret societies or ungrounded spiritual sects could lead not to salvation and redemption at this time, but a feeling of emptiness, of being stuck, or being misled instead. So if you find yourself giving away all of your resources to such an organization without getting anything in return, warning bells should go off. Now, always leaning on friends to save you from dilemmas rather than gaining the spiritual strength to hang by yourself is another low vibe intention of a maladjusted Neptune in the house of hopes, dreams, wishes, and friends. The intent is for us to be strong enough to meet our creator on our own. Of course, friends are always good along the way, especially during hard times, but you have to gain the strength to stand on your own two legs, okay? Spiritually. Now, people who you attract could be creative types, various healers, like you see here, New Age believers. Okay, you can see kind of the cosmic vibe there, or those who have various Neptunian professions. And Neptune has everything to do with the sea. So literally, it could be sailors, it could be fishermen, marine biologists, or on the low vibe end, drug dealers, right? Because Neptune has a lot to do with delusions and illusions. And I would say mirror, mirror magic and things like that. Okay, so just don't let yourself be swept away with the illusions. Okay, that's one of the key message. You need to be very discriminating with who you align yourself with when you have Neptune in the 11th. Why? Because aligning yourselves with the wrong group of people could actually bring in betrayal, upheaval, and basically take you down the garden path where there's a lot of chaos going on, right? And you don't want that in your life. Also, the friends that you have uh, friends may also have a hard time living up to your expectations. Sorry about that. So loss, grief, and disillusion can settle in with this placement if your goals are not realized, leaving you feeling abandoned by the very people and groups that you thought you could count on. Now, you will long for a sense of wholeness, right? For connection, for all swimming in the same sea and being a part of things. And civic groups, like minded organizations, and friends. That's what you really are desiring. But the real lesson of Neptune in the 11th is that which you need, you already carry within yourself in your very own soul. Okay? All right. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that spreads a little light, love, and angelic vibes across the universe. I also hope that explains a little bit. Please pay attention to the eclipses and see what comes out. And again, as difficult as it may be, I think all of this is happening for a reason. And it's seen in that square in our chart because we've gotten off track, right? We've missed the mark by a long shot. And if we have a creator that we really want to bring in decency and love and light and beauty, that creator has to uphold everybody, right? Has to treat all people well, including women. And again, I hope TOJ didn't throw out the note. I might just redo it, right? Because the things I saw very clearly. Why? Because I'm a map reader, right? That's the entire purpose of doing astrology. Now, again, don't kill the messenger just because I figured things out. That's the whole purpose of the study, right? And I'll polygraph anything you want. I have no problem with that. And again, I did it because I wanted to get a sense of the energy that was there. And after looking for 1 hour, I was terrified. And so, anyhow, I could revisit that, what I saw, because I remember extremely well what I had seen before. And I know that a lot of it has panned out to be quite true, and I will polygraph. So maybe I will redo it, just because, again, it's all about learning to read the map. And of course, I'm not always right? There's usually 4 or 5 ways things can pan out. But when you see patterns and things and everything seems to be lining up to tell the tale of a person, and you're sensing that vibe, then you're probably onto stuff, right? And again, what's the purpose of all this? So that you can counsel people, help them to get the help they need, help them to find the healers they need, help them to overcome the conundrums that they're faced with or the difficult lives. And it's my firm belief that these generational curses that pop up, they are groups of people that have something they're trying to work out, right? And for whatever reason, God brings them all together, sometimes in family units, and says, okay, this is the life where you need to figure this out. And hopefully that happens. And again, I feel very strongly, putting people in jail makes other people safe, right? But it does not heal the wounds and the curses. Now, of course, the people themselves have to want to do that, but help while they're in prison should occur, because if that wounding is not fixed, they could come back worse the next life. And of course, I do believe in reincarnation. So if you look at a person from a soul perspective, right, because this body just goes away and you go round and round, and we all have to live together, and maybe some people we have to repeat things with, you want some of those lessons to be learned so that the next go around for everybody is easier, right? So it's very key that we remember that help needs to be provided to these people when they're in jail, okay? Because just putting them there doesn't take care of it. It just makes everybody else safe. All right, so if you need me to redo the energy I saw, I remember it clearly. And I know probably at the time people thought, oh, that girl's kind of crazy making all these predictions. Well, what do you think an astrologer does, right? So don't kill the messenger just because I was right. Now, also pay attention and see if other things that I'm telling you come to pass. And in my own life, did I use this many times too? I would look ahead, see what was the potential, and then watch what unfolded? Of course, right? Also, I would look at the potential and then I think, whew, some of this doesn't look so good. What can I do to try to make it come out better? And sometimes I was very successful in that. Other times I'm not as enlightened and I have to, learn my own hard lessons. So the only thing I can say with the eclipses that are coming out in April 20th and May 5th, most especially, even though these lessons may be very harsh, I do hope we learn them. I do hope we deal with them. Why? Because we have an exact square to our value system in this country. And this is an energy that must be resolved. And if we go forward on the trajectory that we're on, we're going to fail, right? We can't have a deity that treats women this way. So watch for what secrets get revealed, watch what comes out, and rather than raging and wanting to sting back, just learn that there is a divine plan at play. All right. God bless. I wish you all well. Archangel Michael, I hope I get to meet you. I sense that you're a good person. I know we're very different, but we have many things that are similar, right? There's a great potential for learning one from the other. I think that'd be good, right? I think there's always the potential for learning. And again, I've had friends from all walks of life. I'm very open-minded. One of my best friends was an atheist. Not for me, but I didn't give him a hard time over it. Why? Because he was happy where he was, right? I've had Buddhist friends. I've had people from, all kinds of belief systems. And I've never had any problem with any of them so long as you don't hurt people and you don't force your stuff. Okay. And when those two things go awry, well, then I get ornery. Just saying. But anyhow, God bless and pay attention, right? You may be surprised. And if you find you are surprised, well, then I would start to suggest that you tap into some other people, because I know other good people who really know far more even than I do. And there are a lot of us that do this and see the potential. And we are working behind the scenes trying to bring in good things. And I don't know not one astrologer who doesn't have a good, loving, kind heart. Most of them are Christian. Some are like me. I believe in God and Jesus, but I also read stuff on Hindu masters and Buddha, right? I'll take wisdom anywhere I can get it. Why? Because I'm a very valuable human being and I need all the help I can get. And I think there's wisdom all over the world, right? I don't want to limit myself. And I've seen amazing things come out of other traditions. I mean, really, truly amazing things. So I know that there are people that are tapped in who are following different paths. So, all right, maybe I'll come up with that next. I know what the energy was. And so again, don't kill the messenger just because I was right. That's the entire point of doing astrology. All right, God bless. Have a great day.